In the last few years, my shopping habits have changed drastically. I'm sure you will relate to this. My go to brands have switched from traditional and primarily known ones to small, homemade, entrepreneurial brands that might just have started during the COVID. Or they might be from long, but I got introduced to them during the lockdown. The majority of brands are dominant at digitally, where we could get their product directly from the website or from an online marketplace. The phenomenon and the shift in these shopping habits is because of the growth seen in the D2C brands. D2C? D2C means direct to customer, a type of business to consumer retail sales strategy where a business will build, market, sell, and ship a product directly to the customer. Like Boat, Mamaearth, Bewakoof, Healthcart, Licious, and many more. Each of these brands have a killer content competition, as in the end, content is the most efficient way for them to reach customers like us. So today, I dive deep into the content creation and strategy that goes behind the D2C brands. Joining me for this episode is Vanshika Mehta, popularly known as Vanshi Chats. She is a brand consultant and content creator with 100k followers on LinkedIn. She works with multiple startups and entrepreneurs to help them turn their idea into a viable business with a brand that people can actually relate to and trust. I hope you like this episode. Hi Vanshika, very happy to have you here in this short notice. You have been a friend of Pepper and when me and Yash thought about planning a topic or a conversation on D2C or anything, the first person that came across through our LinkedIn, also through our mind were you. So I'm very happy to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me because this is a topic which I personally love and it's a topic that I can talk about endlessly. So I'm glad we found a mutual interest and I hope that whoever's listening really enjoys whatever we have to say and takes away some really good learnings from this session.
And I must say the thing that came to our mind was your LinkedIn bio, the legacy DTC and tech founders creating memorable brands, and then it was the first thing. And luckily we also met because at the Delhi mixer, so that was like whom to call, and that was the first thing. Yeah, so I'll just brief what we'll be doing here. We just want to understand and discuss in terms of creating content strategy for D2C brands. I as a person understand direct to customer manufacturing and direct to customer marketing campaigns and everything. But we want the audience of Pepper Spotlight, which is pretty new, pretty we are just growing out there, to understand and get an overview of this field of work and how creating content in this field works, how the campaigns are created, how brand campaigns work, what is the difference of brand campaign and campaign, as we discussed while planning this out. So we'll just do that. But first, I want you to introduce yourself because I've already done that in the start of it. But yeah, I want you to introduce yourself.
Awesome. So, hi everyone that's listening. My name is Vanshika. I basically work with very early stage D2C and tech founders to help them create a brand strategy that is going to help them set foot in the market in the right way and get the right kind of consumers for their brand. So, doing brand strategy in a D2C space and an environment has become even more important over the last maybe even 3 to 5 years. Because D2C is a very new concept as is, and there is already a lot of competition. Like if you're starting a D2C today in 2022, you're going to face competition already. So without a brand strategy, without a comm strategy, trying to survive in a D2C market space or trying to make a name is almost virtually impossible. So that's what I help early stage founders with. And the best part is sometimes I get to work on projects where the founder doesn't even have a product. It's just an idea. And out of an idea, we create a brand and the name and the logo. And it's just so much fun. And I've really been blessed to work with some of the most amazing founders that there are in the D2C space.
That's great. Getting to the topic, it was very like post-COVID part in my head that D2C became a keyword on the internet and everywhere. The industry exists even before that. It was just not became an online thing that people and entire LinkedIn, or you go to Instagram, everywhere, any marketing event you go, there's a separate D2C summit as well now. There are different keywords that came out of it, and that's how people got attracted to it. So what difference does it has right now in terms of pre-COVID D2C industry and post-COVID? Like, because I guess Shark Tank also made a large impact towards it, because there were many companies that came on the floor, from the shark side and also from the the people who came for the funding part. So what, according to you, what major difference is it right now? What made it that grow at that level right now?
I think the biggest thing is that while we were home, we had time to experiment and discover and try new brands which we might not have been able to do before, which has been great because we always were used to shopping on certain platforms or going to the supermarket, and legacy brands were always the top choice. But during COVID, I think because there was just so much time that people actually started looking for other non legacy brands, which I think has really been awesome because a lot of new brands came up pre-COVID and then got the boost that they needed during COVID in terms of discoverability, in terms of their initial customer base, and so much more has really happened because of COVID. So I think COVID was a blessing in disguise for D2C because that's literally the model that they operate on, right? Like very few D2C brands actually make it out onto the streets and you have a physical store. It's all online, and that's the beautiful part about D2C is that your customer can be sitting in any part of India, and you've removed all the middlemen. So for you, it's just the shipping cost and getting the best product to the customer. So I think COVID and having that time allowed us to kind of just while away time and find new brands. And the fact that a lot of brands started doing a lot of good marketing in COVID is what helped them also with awareness. And like you mentioned, these conferences and these meetups, like this was never there before. I've been in India since 2018, and very recently, maybe just about under a year ago, this whole thing really blew up to a level where like Ink 42 and Your Story, they're writing reports and events and virtual summits, and there's so much of knowledge, and India is still at a very nascent stage, I think. The best part about D2C is, and the best part about consumers is if you try a brand and you like it, the chances are you're going to try it again and again. And if you love it, you're going to become a loyal customer. So COVID really helped these brands to find their loyal customer base. And, and now I think it's more about rolling the ball quicker and not faster, but just getting to, some place where you're stable and happy, and you're making good progress every day. Being in D2C is very, very competitive because, like I said, like there's so much of competition in every single segment. The barrier to entry is not that high, and anybody can come up with a similar idea with a very cool branding, and it's a very dynamic market. So really hats off to all the founders as well who are in the forefront, with their shields and trying to make their brand stand out. I think hats off to them. It's very competitive and they're doing a great job at it.
To the competitive part, because in the post-COVID era, everything, during the COVID time, as we said, we are sitting at homes and everything was on the internet. Now, after we are getting into a normalcy stage, like day by day, the competitions in the internet has, just blued off or, went at different level altogether. Like from a personal example, I was not the one, directly buying it from a D2C. I was more because I was in college again. The financial limits also come here. But because I was in college, it was only Amazon or some physical store that you know of in the city and all. But now the internet competition has come out. So the promotion and branding and all the strategies related to marketing has been coming different. So what major change that you observed that, D2C companies used to follow before, and right now, what are the changes they are adapting to or being agile towards?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think before, because D2C was not so prominent, you wouldn't really see too many D2C brands getting the limelight. Nowadays, for example, people like D2C brands are getting celebrities on, they're getting brand ambassadors. Influencer marketing has become so big in D2C, which is why these D2C brands are getting so much spotlight. Like, I don't remember the last time that I saw a very traditional legacy brand doing something, I mean, now it's all about D2C and that shift. Yes, legacy brands will be legacy brands, right? Like, if you eat Maggie, you're going to eat Maggie, irrespective of if it's D2C or not. You want Maggie. Maggie ka taste Maggie de sakta hai. So it's just like these things, but like I've seen D2C brands really pick up over time and take an aggressive stand, because they're not just fighting amongst competition amongst themselves in that industry space that they're in. They're also fighting with the legacy brands at the end of the day, right? Because legacy brands are like, ha, hum dhanda bechenge. You go to a store, you buy it, or you go to Amazon, or you go to our website. But now D2C brands are taking a much stronger foothold in terms of communicating to their audience, and I think they're doing it beautifully. So I think the space that has been created for them, I think D2C brands pushed and made that space for themselves. It would not have been there if they didn't do it. So I think overall the industry has done some wonderful stuff over the last 2-3 years.
In current life or so, what are the D2C brands that you are, like, you are yourself a consumer to, you are yourself a loyal customer to?
Yeah, I mean, first one that I can think of right at the top of my head is definitely Zarin. It's a jewelry brand, and I just love their stuff. Like, I buy so much stuff from them. I'm so guilty. Another one that I actually like, my handbag that's lying here is from a D2C brand. It's from a brand called Gusto. I am pure D2C. I'm like, I'm going to work in D2C and I'm going to buy D2C brands. I keep getting crazy amount of packages at home, and everybody's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, this is my market space. I need to try it out. Another really cool brand that is D2C plus offline, a mix. I mean, not totally D2C brand, but one of my other ones is Brew House. I love their iced teas. They're amazing. Jimmy's Cocktail. Oh my God, my favorite. Like, order online, khatam karo, have fun at home with friends. There are so many amazing brands. Like, we never thought of even like homes becoming a place where itna sara socializing ho jayega. So even there's another brand owned by one of my friends called Barfecto, which is like basically enabling you to create that bar experience at home, so that if you want to just sit at home and have really good cocktails, you can. And this was not a concept till a very recent time. It was a very recent concept. So definitely, like, lots and lots of very cool D2C brands are coming up, and I think they're doing amazing stuff.
And what got you into this industry of D2C? Like, what was the initial stage? Like, what exactly attracted you towards it?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I realize that the market is getting so competitive, and so many people want to jump into D2C because they think it's the new cool thing to do.
Yeah.
But if you do it without a brand strategy, you're setting yourself up for failure, because you're going to be like, हाँ मैं brand बना लूँगा, कुछ भी नाम डाल दूँगा, I'll do this, and it's not the right way to set up a D2C. Because if you don't understand your audience, you don't understand your consumer, you don't understand what need are you fulfilling, or how are you fulfilling it, why should someone pick you, these things, right? Like, it's so hard to gain trust. Legacy brands though are there, they're going to stamp you in a second. It's not hard for them. Like, legacy brands have money to do IPL marketing and TV marketing and billboards. D2C brands are not that that cash wealthy or cash rich. But I think it's the thing that I want to make a difference in the industry. I want to be there for these brands because there is a potential. There is always a new way to look at a brand or a way of solving a problem. And I want to help founders to solve that problem to the best that they can. That is what I want to do. And I want to enable them with all the tools that they know that they'll need or will need as soon as they set out to, go into the market. I want to enable them to get to success as quick as possible. Because it's almost like I use this anecdote all the time on my webinars. It's like brand strategy is like the GPS of your car. If you don't know where you're going, you're just going to take a right and a left. Kahin to pahunch jaoge, kabhi to pahunch jaoge. But are you really getting to the destination in the most optimum manner? And the answer is no. So this is like an anecdote I use a lot, that like brand strategy is like your GPS, and you put it on and it tells you like yahan se right lo, yahan se left lo, yahan se seedha jao. And that really helps you to navigate. It helps you make business decisions. It helps you save on money. It helps you save on say resources, right? Because say for example, like, okay, like, hey, we're thinking of X campaign. Does this really align with our brand? Does it align with our values? It gives you that room for introspection. And if you don't have that and you're just running in the wild, you're going to make all sort of decisions. And what it boils down to then is inconsistency with the brand itself. A consumer will not trust a brand that is inconsistent. Why do you go and you buy a Levi's jeans, for example, legacy brand? Because you know that their stuff is really goddamn good. Why do you go to a Mac and not another brand? Because you know you're getting a premium product, right? So these brands have been giving you this messaging so consistently over so many years that that message is stuck with you and you resonate with that brand. And that is something really important, that D2C brands also need to find their audience who resonates with them and then give them a reason to resonate and then to trust. And that's literally like brand strategy 101 in the shortest form possible. But that's what I feel like. I feel like I can make an impact and help these founders because, like I said, some brands that come to me don't even have a product. They just come to me saying, "हाँ हमें ये बनाना है," and then we think, we talk, we ideate, we learn, it's such a fun process. And working with early stage founders is always really really fun because they're so energized and so hyped and excited about what they're building. And that is the stage where really brand strategy impacts, right? Later on, like say you're a year old or 2 years old, right? You're doing more of brand building, brand campaigns, but you're not really doing hardcore brand strat. Like you're not setting the foundation of the house. जहाँ पे बोलते हैं ना, जैसे मिट्टी लगाते हैं फ्लोर पे, फिर उसके ऊपर घर, you build the walls, that's literally what brand strat is. And it's such a fun experience to be in this industry at this time. I mean, no better time to be in D2C than now.
That's quite an insight. That's like the most detailed blog shared verbally that okay ऐसे काम करते हैं, right? And you are making a difference to the viewers. I'll say just like follow her on LinkedIn and you will. I purposely go there, like wait for the insightful posts or blogs and everything that comes on the face with respect to branding, with respect to what other companies, what campaign did what, how it was effective, how it was not, and everything. So you are making a difference, and I am very excited for what you bring in the future as well. But as you must know, every brand comes with a storytelling, and every brand has a story as well, right? Like Mamaearth had a story and they put on, like they continued on it. Both had a story that they built on it. So how can a D2C brand use the storytelling in a better way while creating their brand strategy or while creating a brand campaign for themselves?
Yeah, I think storytelling is at the essence of D2C brands specifically, because product wise, if you had to sell a product to a consumer, and in the D2C space right now, like I said, there's so much competition. Product में 19-20 का फर्क लगेगा. But what the consumer really remembers or thinks of your brand, or the reason why you're top of memory, is because of the story of why and how you created the brand and why you are here. What is the reason you are here? Which is again going back to brand strat, right? Like you have to start with why are you doing what you're doing, and then tie that into a story. So for example, like I did a very fun story a couple of months ago. It was for a brand called Benny's Bowl. Basically, the story was so heartwarming. It's if I had to just summarize it into a snippet, if you'd allow me.
Yeah.
It's very simple. So basically, पुराने ज़माने में we used to feed our dogs घर का खाना, right? Literally, जो हमारा खाना बनता था, and they're capable of eating it. That's what they're used to eating. They can. Just that थोड़ा salt नमक का ध्यान रखना है, like वो नहीं डालना है and all of that, right? But because of convenience, we started going out and buying tins for them and pellets. What basically happens is, while that whole production process is happening, all the actual real raw nutrients and stuff get taken out and then put artificially back in, which is actually very harmful for the dog. So we chose convenience for ourselves over what is actually good for our dog. So Benny's Bowl is a very cool brand where I wrote the story, because their theory is that dogs have always been able to eat ghar ka khana. It's just that we wanted convenience, so we went this other route. Let's switch it back, because dogs actually live a happier, healthier life if they eat good, nutritious food from what we eat, right? We don't get packaged खाना, हमें भी खाना बाहर से, मतलब जो regular सामान से आता है, vitamins and minerals and everything you need. So their entire brand story is based around the fact that feed your dog normal human khana. And so they have, I think, 10 or 15 ingredients. And basically when you get the dog ka khana, it looks like normal food. It's given in packets which are like based on the weight and the breed of the dog, and they have some special technology that lasts for like I think 6 months or something like that if the package is not opened, and the dog gets to actually eat and enjoy eating. Imagine how boring it is to eat that mushy stuff that comes out of those circular tins or pellets, right? So I think that's such a beautiful story, and the way that the founders came to me and narrated the story really touched my heart, because even I have a dog, and it was just such a beautiful story. And then couple of months later, they actually went out and raised $300,000 in pre-seed, which was just amazing. I mean, I felt so happy to be part of that story, because it's again, like, it's nothing new. It's just an emotional story which connects.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, because we are the wrong people here. Why are we choosing convenience? Why not actually do what's good for our dog? So that story was really nice, and I'm sure there are plenty of other stories such as these, of women and men and founders and everybody who thinks about things differently. And they felt like, this is a problem that I am facing, let me go out and solve it, which I think takes a lot of power, because I mean, it's not just money, it's mental mind space as well, right? Running a D2C business is really, really hard. Like, for example, like when I talk to founders and they tell me how hard ops is, कि भाई ये ऑर्डर नहीं आया, इसका आरटीओ आया, इसका रिफंड करना है, इसको ये करना, हमारा पेमेंट गेटवे खराब हो गया है, there are 20,000 issues that they have. I don't know. I mean, it's just amazing how they maintain sanity and put on a strong face every single day, just to build the brand that they're building. So really, hats off to founders.
There are a lot of spaces right now where we mentioned brand campaign, brand campaign and all. Can you just explain to, like, in a good 1 minute or 2 minute, whatever you can have, like, what does it take to create a good brand campaign, or how can a viewer who would be a brand manager or anyone listening to it can create a good brand campaign in D2C?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And honestly, I think the best way to think about a brand campaign is to think of all the other stuff your product does other than serving what your product is for. Right? Like I said, like product 19-20 का फर्क होगा हर किसी में. Like, it's not like that different. Somebody might be doing X, you might be doing Y. So, like, literally, if you try and sell product, that's not happening. A brand campaign, I think the two most important things that are there in a brand campaign is, one, it's high on emotion. It relates to somebody's emotional space that they're in. And within that emotional space, how are you solving the problem? And second, I think, is the relatability and the kind of feeling that this brand is here to help me, right? Or at least make my life in some way better. I think these two things are really important for brand campaigns, because product is product. Product to koi bhi bech sakta hai, right? Like, you get a really good copywriter, designer, graphic designer, social media karo. Product is product. But a brand campaign is something that will stick with you even after this whole thing is done and dusted. Not a D2C brand, but one of them that, like, really sticks out to me. And I mean, we've talked endlessly amongst all of us as a friendly group, right? Like, as brand strategists as well. The campaign that Nike did during COVID, which was, I think, based around the fact of, like, stay home, stay strong for us. You're playing your part by staying at home. They didn't even talk about the goddamn brand. Like, it was there. It was just there and everybody knew. But the message, oh my God, I've watched that video so many freaking times because of the way that it was put together, the messaging, the emotional, the text, simple, like, couple of words, but that leaves such a strong memory in your head. Like, it's just incredible, in terms of how they built up the story without talking about the product. Product is secondary, emotions first. Like, we've all heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? What are you solving for, and how are you making someone's life better without telling them that you're selling a product? I think that is one of them. In India, I'm sure a lot of us have seen that Daag Achhe Hai wala. That is again a brand campaign. That is not marketing messaging at all. That is brand campaign. कि भाई जो है अच्छा है कि बच्चे को खेलने दो. Why are you ruining the kids, time? Kids are meant to be messy. Let them be messy. So recently I was talking to some friends, and Dove, also amazing brand, known for amazing brand campaigns. They did one which was about stop the beauty test, which was like, stop telling girls specifically, and obviously this was very targeted to women, कि तू ये है, तू ऐसे दिखती है, तेरे ऐसे ये है, तेरे बाल ऐसे है, it's not about picking faults. Like, the entire message was around, again, self love, being confident, and building that confidence circle around yourself. And these are things marketing messaging cannot do. Marketing messaging is meant to make a sale or to push a particular idea in your head or make you remember something, but brand is not for that. Brand is meant so that you feel something under, like that heartbeat. Till your heart doesn't beat, right, it's not a successful brand campaign.
So let's go to a closing segment, kind of thing that we just want your POV on certain campaigns that went well, certain campaigns that according to you could have done better, or and we'll dig deep into that as well. That what made that campaign pretty special and what made that the campaign that failed. What was the main part about it? So according to you, what's your till now? What's your favorite D2C campaign, and what was the main reason behind its success?
Yeah, so I actually have two, and I'll just give you a short brief. So I love this brand called Bliss Club. They do activewear for women, and I love the messaging and the brand that they've built around the hashtag called Women Who Move. It's so simple, but it's so effective, and they are a brand who's a very supportive brand. Like, when you sign up and you get your first order, you get invited to the 7-day fitness journey or whatever, and the messaging is so beautifully done. I think overall, in terms of channel wise, everything that I've seen from Bliss Club has been delightful. Like, I always feel included. And even obviously with their sizing, right, it's a conscious choice to make sizing from XS up till, like, I think XXL or XXXL. I'm not sure, but basically, like, inclusive sizing is a conscious choice. It's not ke bas ho gaya. So I think that's a beautiful thing that Bliss Club has done, and all women should be entitled to wear comfortable athletic wear, whether you do 20 push-ups or you do 200, you jump 20 times or you jump 2 times, you're still the same. Like, that Women Who Move campaign is so beautiful. I absolutely love it. And then the next one that I can think of is definitely Slurp Farm. I've actually met the founders. It's all about millet-based khana. And it's about really feeling that this gap was existing in the market for their own kids and stuff. So these two people that got together and created this brand. And I think they're doing beautifully well. And I think these are like little things. Like I said, D2C founders, I think, are the most aware people, because they're like, this is a problem. How do I go and I solve it? How do I make it better for my consumer? How do I make something that my consumer will love? So these are just two of the brands that come to my mind. I'm sure there are hundreds more. But these two have done a wonderful job.
And as a D2C founder, I feel they also understand the consumers much better in the journey. Like, on the day one, they would know the problem, but on the day 100, they will know the problem and how the consumer would be behaving on it, that as well. And that shapes the campaign, that shapes the every activity that they do in the marketing side or the product side.
So a lot of brand strategy is actually to understand a day in your life and your consumer.
Yeah.
It's not about hypothetically that my consumer is going to use this.
Yeah.
If you're building a brand, you need to know, for example, if you're building a cookie brand, are they consuming it in the morning? Are they consuming it in the afternoon after lunch? Or are they having it as a dinner snack? Because that can impact, that nitty gritty of a detail can impact how you build your brand. Like, something as simple as this, which nobody really would think about. Biscuit hota hai. Now, how does it matter if I have it in the morning or I have it at night? It is different. Morning you're eating it for energy. Raat ko you're eating it as a dessert, right?
Yeah.
It's like something as small as this, which is why I say they're like the most aware people around. They're like, ye problem hai, hame ye solve karna hai, and like they'll find a solution.
And when you will talk to them in a normal life, they will be just scouting a problem and solution. They will be treating their friend also in the same way, that do you feel there's a problem, and then they will provide a solution.
Yeah.
ऐसा कर सकते हो.
Yeah.
Like, you talked about a campaign that you liked. What was the campaign that you feel that could have done better, or they failed in some other way, and what was the reason behind it?
Very recently, there was a brand that had a fitness tracker that published in front of the newspaper that somebody's heart rate was at 800 beats per minute. Some 800 or something.
800 RPM, I read
Yeah,
that, yes.
and that means that person is probably dying, or like that. It's just not humanly possible, right? And I think that is such a massive fail on the brand manager's part, because something like this should have been checked with a dietitian, a nutritionist, a doctor, a physician, somebody. 800 किसी का होता नहीं है. It's not humanly possible. And the funny thing is, right now, coincidentally, as I was coming here, there's another competitive brand, a competing brand to that brand, that had released that ad. And they have said like, hey, we're the brand that gives you the real stats. So if you look at it, we're recording this at end of July. I'm sure, if you're on Instagram enough, you will see this. And I think it's just hilarious because smart on that second brands manager, like very smart move. Without saying anything like cocky or in your face, they made a point ke bhai, people are not stupid. 800 beats per minute ho hi nahi sakta. And such stupid things like these are why campaigns fail. I mean, another really just general reason why campaigns fail is also probably choosing the wrong medium. And this is something as a brand strategist or a brand manager you have to think about a lot.
I've seen that ad or that campaign that you mentioned because it came into my feed as well. As a last question, there are many D2C brands that people know of because through the ad or through the campaigns, it is shown to the people that we are successful, we are big. Like Mama's is something people know, Boat is something people know. Is there any who is according to you is the underdog in this industry that people might not know them, but they are killing it in they're getting good revenue, they are making it big, but people just don't talk about it much often, but they are slyly chasing success.
Yeah. One brand that I came across through another project that I was working on is Mother Sparsh. It's a very unheard brand. Like, it's not many people have heard of it. Pure D2C, I mean, I'm sure they have other channels as well because no D2C is pure D2C anyway nowadays. But Mother Sparsh, like, I was just looking up their stats abhi before I came on the podcast. They made a revenue of 3.36 crore in a baby care segment. Can you imagine the amount of customer base they have to make 3.36 crores? That's a lot of money for a D2C baby care brand. Crazy. And I learned about this brand because I was working on a baby care product. Another one is called Nua, Nua. It's a femtech brand, and I was again just reading about them recently. They have 5 lakh subscribers on their website and probably people who buy. But 5 lakhs is what was released into the public. And for a femtech brand and in a space like India specifically, which is still getting used to femtech and sexual wellness, I think that 5 lakhs is a huge amount and it's only going to grow bigger.
Yeah.
So there are always underdogs, like people who you'll see from the side of your eye and be like, naam suna hai, like, it's just amazing. Another one that I think is getting up and running now and like is getting the attention it deserves, and it's one of my products that I want to buy aspirationally, is Mokobara. Luxury, sexy looking luggage. It's like that feeling of like pulling it off the when you get your luggage, I forgot the word, but the whatever, the luggage picking up space. Mokobara is like a feeling, it's a vibe. It's expensive as hell, but it just looks so good. You're like, I want this product, like meko ye chahiye, and like there's no rhyme, reason, logic. It's just like meko ye chahiye, aspirational product ki tarah. I think these brands are doing amazing stuff, and like I said, simple problem, new solution, new kind of customer, evolved customer, solving their need. That's what they're doing best. And I think they're doing lovely, and I can't wait to see all of the brands that we talked about in the last about 30-40 minutes really succeed, because the market right now is still picking up.
Yeah.
It's still a good time to get into D2C. It's still a good time to put your foot down and say, hey, I want to see the world differently. And I think it's an amazing time because now the community is so thriving and founders in D2C are so amazing. Every single founder I've talked to has been so amazing in terms of sharing insights about like, I for me, a lot of learning comes when just talking to founders and asking them like, okay, how has brand strategy helped you? Who did it? What did they do? What did you feel were the gaps? How can I do better for my clients? And they're just all lovely people in the D2C space. So lovely to see the D2C space expanding and growing.
I feel this decade will see a lot more, and we'll see the existing one just climb like higher and higher in success. But yeah, for the viewers, for us also, I'll just give a good recap. We started with how you got into D2C industry, what do you feel about it, then we went into the storytelling part, the brand campaigns, the good brand campaigns in D2C, the one that could have done better, the one and how could have done better, and then obviously the part where we mentioned about few brands that we might just ignore or might not know, but they are just getting into the success part. It was quite informative, very insightful for me, and as well as I believe for the our community and the viewers. So thank you so much, Vanshika. I hope you had fun. I hope you, and again, thank you so much for coming at short notice. I appreciate that, and I'm very grateful for that.
I'm so glad we made this happen. Like I said, I can talk about this days and nights.
We'll surely do a second part in future on creating content side of it, more than the brand side of it. And people who are listening to this, do follow Vanshika on Instagram and LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, she is just amazing to share good knowledge about anything and everything about brand, especially in D2C and tech, as her bio says. So yeah. Follow Vanshika, subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel and everything. I hope you had fun. We'll end it here.